Hello everyone. In previous lecture we have discussed the Golgi apparatus. Today we will discuss the mitochondria. Mitochondria is a energy supplier unit. Many functions are performed by mitochondria as it involves in metabolic processes and vital functions which are required for the proper operation of the cell and organism. So this is the theme of mitochondria. Now we have discussed the importance of mitochondria. What is mitochondria and the specific feature of mitochondria is what? So mitochondria are one of the most important organelles found in eukaryotic cells, including both plants and animals. Mitochondria are often called as the powerhouse of the cell. Powerhouse of the cell because they produce ATP. ATP means adenosine triphosphate. Adenosine triphosphate, the main energy currency that fuels a wide range of cellular processes. Through a process called cellular respiration, mitochondria break down glucose and oxygen to produce ATP. Means mitochondria break down glucose and oxygen to produce ATP. Mitochondria break down glucose and oxygen to produce ATP. ATP is essential for survival and functions of the cell. Mitochondria are unique among organelles because they have their own DNA. This is their own DNA. This is known as mitochondrial DNA, allowing them to produce some of their own proteins and enzymes. This feature suggests that they may have originated from an ancient symbiotic relationship between a primitive eukaryotic cell and a bacterial ancestral. The theory is known as endosymbiotic theory. Now next is the structure of mitochondria. In this we will know that how the mitochondria looks like and how many components are inside the mitochondria which have their own specific functions. Mitochondria, as the indicate the powerhouse of the cells, means powerhouse means it generates energy in form of ATP. So the structure of mitochondria is shoe-like structure. This is a shoe-like structure of mitochondria. There are different parts of mitochondria. This thread-like structure is known as mitochondrial DNA, also known as in short mtDNA, means mitochondrial DNA, and the green dotted structure is scattered inside the mitochondria known as ribosome, essential for protein synthesis, and the stalked red-like structure as ATP synthase, from where ATP is generated, and these are the small dotted structure known as porins. Porins allow the movement of ions and nutrients, and this is outer one membrane, and this is inner one membrane. The space between the inner membrane and outer membrane is known as intermembrane space. This is yellow large molecule structure known as matrix granule. These are the matrix granule, and the liquid inside is matrix. This is matrix, and the space between the first wall and the second is known as Cristae junction. This is Cristae junction. So these are the structure of mitochondria, which is composed of many parts which have their own specific function. Now these 2 points which we have to discuss in detail. First structure is outer membrane. As we all know that mitochondria possesses a double membrane structure because there is 2 type of membrane, the inner membrane and the outer membrane. That's why known as double membrane structure that enables them efficiently performs cellular respiration and generates ATP. So in structure, first we will discuss outer membrane. This is outer membrane. Outer membrane is smooth and permeable to small molecules. This is permeable to small molecules, and it contains porins. Outer membrane contains porins. Porins allows, as I already said, it allows the movement of ions and nutrients to pass into the mitochondria. Second is inner membrane. Inner membrane, it is a folded into structures called cristae, which increase the surface area for energy production, and it houses the ETC. ETC means electron transport chain, and ATP synthase, which is important for ATP generation. Next is matrix. The mitochondrial matrix, the innermost component, this is innermost component matrix of mitochondria. It houses enzymes, mitochondrial DNA, and ribosomes. These are important for carrying out the organelles' metabolic activities. And matrix also hosts the Krebs cycle, also known as CTA, citric acid cycle. It is a key step in cellular respiration. Now the last is the intermembrane space. As I already stated that the space between the inner membrane and the outer membrane is known as intermembrane space. It plays an important role in the movement of protons, helping establish proton gradient for ATP production. So, for example, factory analogy. Think power plant. Suppose this is a power plant. It generates electricity for a city. The outer membrane is like a factory. So, the outer membrane is like a city, which allowing materials to enter, and the inner membrane that is Cristae is where power is generated, similar to the machinery inside the plant. So the matrix is like a control room, and matrix is control room managing ATP production. So through this example, we have tried to know the mitochondria is like a power plant which generates electricity for the city. In the similar manner, mitochondria's inner membrane cristae, from where the ATP is generated, and outer membrane is like a city, and matrix is like a control room. It manages the energy production. Second is the role of mitochondria in energy production. Role of mitochondria in energy production. So the how is energy is produced inside the mitochondria. Mitochondria generates energy through cellular respiration, which consists of three main stages. First is glycolysis. Glycolysis occurs inside the cytoplasm. In glycolysis, breakdown of glucose into pyruvate occurs, producing a small amount of ATP and NADH. Occurs outside the mitochondria in the cytoplasm. Second is the Krebs cycle. It occurs in matrix. In this, pyruvates enters the mitochondrial DNA. In first step, pyruvate is formed. Now the pyruvate enters the Krebs cycle. Now the pyruvate enters the mitochondrial matrix and is further broken down into carbon dioxide, ATP, NADH, and NADH2. Third is ETC, means electron transport chain, occurs in inner membrane. So the main functions of ETC are as NADH and FADH2 contributes electron to the electron transport chain, a series of protein complexes located within the inner membrane of the mitochondria. This process pumps protons into the membrane space, creating a proton gradient. Proton re-enter the mitochondrial matrix through ATP synthase a process that drives the synthesis of ATP from ADP and inorganic phosphate. Oxygen is essential in electron transport chain, acting as the final acceptor of electron to help drive the production of water and complete the energy generating process. It combines with protons and electrons to form water, completing the process of cellular respiration. Now we will also take an example for that. Mitochondria as a rechargeable battery. Example is mitochondria as rechargeable battery. So ATP produced by mitochondria act like a battery. ATP act like a battery that powers cellular functions. When the battery runs low, mitochondria recharge it, producing more ATP through cellular respiration. Third part is function of mitochondria beyond energy production. There are also many functions, in among which first is the apoptosis means programmed cell death. In this, mitochondria regulate apoptosis, a process that eliminates damaged or unnecessary cells. They release cytochrome C, which activates enzymes that break down the cell. This is important in preventing cancer and maintaining healthy issues. Second is the calcium storage. In this, mitochondria help regulate calcium levels, which is important for muscle contraction, nerve function, and enzyme activation. Third is heat production. Heat production means thermogenesis. In this, brown fat cells, mitochondria produce heat instead of ATP, helping regulate body temperature. Fourth is the production of steroid hormones. Mitochondria play a key role in hormone synthesis, including estrogen, testosterone, and cortisol. For example, is mitochondria and muscles functions. In this, muscles damaged a large supply of ATP to fuel the energy intensive process of contraction. Athletes and physically active individuals have more mitochondria in their muscle cells to meet this energy demand. So this is the example of mitochondria and muscles. Next is the mitochondria in different cell types. Fourth is mitochondria in different cell types. First is muscle cell. In muscle cells, there are skeletal and cardiac muscles have a high number of mitochondria to supply energy for contraction. Second is nerve cells. Nerve cells means neurons. In neurons, it requires a constant supply of ATP to support synaptic transmission and maintain proper brain function. Mitochondrial dysfunction in neurons can lead to neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's diseases. Third is the liver cell. The liver cell has mitochondria that help detoxify ammonia and produce glucose, known as gluconeogenesis. Means glucose is forming in a new way instead of normal way. So this is known as gluconeogenesis. For example is mitochondria in endurance athletes. Marathon runners have more efficient mitochondria, allowing their muscles to sustain activity for long periods. Now the fifth is the mitochondrial DNA and endosymbiotic theory. Mitochondrial DNA and endosymbiotic theory. In this, unlike other organelles, mitochondria have their own DNA, that is empty DNA means mitochondrial DNA and ribosome, suggesting they evolved from ancient bacteria that entered a symbiotic relationship with a primitive eukaryotic cell. This is known as endosymbiotic theory. Evidences for endosymbiosis. Mitochondria have their own circular DNA similar to bacterial DNA. Mitochondria reproduce independently of the cell by a binary fission, a process akin to bacterial cell division. Mitochondria have a double membrane which supports the idea they were once engulfed by another cell. Example is inherited mitochondrial DNA. Mitochondrial DNA is passed only from the mother, which allows scientists to trace maternal ancestry. Next is the mitochondrial disorder and diseases. Mitochondrial disorder and diseases. In this, defective mitochondria can cause severe diseases as they fail to produce enough ATP for proper cell function. Now we will discuss the common mitochondrial diseases. Leigh syndrome. Leigh syndrome, its symptoms are neurological disorder and muscles weakness, and causes is mutations in mitochondrial DNA. Second is mitochondrial myopathy. Mitochondrial myopathy. In this, muscles are weakens and fatigues are the symptoms, and the causes is defective energy production. Third is the Parkinson disease. Parkinson disease symptoms are neuron degeneration and tremors, and the causes is mitochondrial dysfunction. For example, mitochondrial dysfunction in aging. As we age, mitochondrial efficiency declines, leading to muscle weakness, fatigue, and neurodegenerative diseases. Next is the mitochondria in modern research and medicine. In this, scientists are studying mitochondria to develop treatment for aging, cancer, and genetic disorders. Now we have taken a look in recent mitochondrial research, that is mitochondrial replacement theory. This is in short known as MRT. MRT stands for mitochondria, R for replacement, and T for therapy. Mitochondrial replacement therapy, it helps in prevent inherited mitochondrial diseases. Second is mitochondria targeted antioxidants. In this, reduce oxidative stress and slow aging is inside this. For example, mitochondrial replacement therapy in babies. In 3-parent babies, defective mitochondria from the mother are replaced and healthy mitochondria from a donor. In lastly, we would like to say the vital role of mitochondria. Vital role of mitochondria. Mitochondria are the cell's energy producer, converting nutrients into ATP to power essential biological processes. They also play a role in cell death, calcium regulation, and hormone synthesis. Their unique DNA and evolutionary history make them one of the most fascinating organelles. Mitochondrial health is crucial for muscle function, brain activity, and overall longevity. Understanding how mitochondria work allows scientists to develop new treatment for genetic disorder, aging, and neurodegenerative diseases. Without mitochondria, life will not exist. Thank you so much.